So I was born in Uzhhorod, Czechoslovakia in 1930. I had a younger brother, later 4 years younger than myself. My dad was a cabinet maker and my mom was a housewife.
I was born in Budapest, 30th of August 1932, into a fairly wealthy Jewish family, very Orthodox religious. My grandfather was a sort of a Rav who ran a Polish shul in Budapest. They came from Poland when my father was 9 years old. When the Germans came in 1944, March 1944, he was first of the Jewish community that panicked. He could see it coming. Now, this was quite a difficult time, but parents had to make decisions what to do with their children, and life became a fight for survival.
In 1944, if I remember, it was in March of 1944 when the Germans came into Hungary. Very soon after that, we were told that all Jews have to register and everybody can take one suitcase worth of goods. Very soon after, we were led under armed guard to brickworks, very big brickworks. It was in the city.
There was a monastery in Budapest on the shore of the Danube, a beautiful place. It belonged to the monks of the order of St. Francis of Assisi. They decided to save Jewish children. My father somehow managed to get me in there, and obviously there were not many places, as well as my cousin, who was a year older than me. I was homesick and I decided to escape, so to speak, and go home. I climbed out the window, went home. My father was very annoyed and told me that he will take me back on the Monday. But he couldn't, because on the weekend, the Nazis, either the Arrow Cross or the Germans, came to the monastery and machine gunned all the priests and all the children, including my cousin.
Maybe 1,000 of us were led to the railway station where we were made to get into the train. We were so full that we could hardly sit down. The train started off and it was at least 2 days till it stopped. On the railway platform, there was a big sign there, Auschwitz. Never heard it before. And later on, we found out what it was really. The doors were suddenly opened, and everybody, we could hear "raus," which means in German, out, out, get out. And one of those striped guys walked up to me and asked me how old I am, and I told him I'm 14. Not 14 yet, actually, but I said I'm 14. He said, don't say that. If they ask you, tell them that you're 16. I turned 14 in Auschwitz.
We were among the last Jews to be put into the ghetto. That was an unforgettable march, a march of sad Jews with their yellow star, with the few little possessions they could take with them, to be put into the ghetto, which was, of course, a locked area. And it's a hard experience. If a Nazi happened to be walking by and you took eye contact, they would shoot you. Nobody would ask him why. So we had a few people disappear, and I remember on one occasion they asked me to look for a gentleman who hadn't come back home. They thought that being a youngster, I was relatively safer than the older people. So I went out. Dead bodies were picked up and set up in what I could only call a wood pile. one body this way, one body that way, until it built up to about 5 foot high. And what I had to do to look for this gentleman is to lift each head, they were all dead of course, lift each head to look if that was the person. I think eventually I found it, but I'm not sure. Looking at cadavers after that just doesn't bother me. Looking at blood doesn't bother me. And the upside of this, that this gave rise to the fact that I became a first-class first aider, and that gave rise to the ski patrol, which I founded, both the Australian and the international, and it led to great things.
We were dusted like with DDT and given striped uniforms. And it looked so strange that I couldn't recognize the guy that I went to school with, or I wouldn't have been able to recognize my father. We looked so different. The barrack boss, he was also a Jew. I asked him what's going to happen, and he led me to the front window there, and he showed me to a chimney which was belching smoke, and he said, that's the only way you can get out from here.
We were liberated from the ghetto. Vividly remember the date was the 15th of January, 1945. We were at that time living in the cellar. There was a bang on the door, flew open, and the Russian soldier came in.
On the 11th of April, the Americans came, and we were free. By then I was in a stage that I could hardly walk. I remember that there was this big black American soldier who grabbed me. He took all my clothing off, put it on a pile that was burning, and he gave me a blanket, put me on a truck, and took me out of the camp. There were some nurses there. They gave me a bath. They gave me some medication. That was the first time since I left home that I had a sheet, a white sheet on my bed. And
my message is, at all times, stand up for yourself and for your mates, because together we can conquer anything.
In my experience, the one who hates suffers more at the end than the one that was hated. I can really thank my survivor to a few of of humane people, and without those people, their kindness, I don't think I would have survived.